Support for LA Art is funded in part by the California Arts Council, a state agency advancing California through arts and creativity.
Based on the beloved novels written by Winston Graham, Poldark captivated television audiences in the late 1970s. The handsome hero rides again in a sweeping new PBS series.
There's nothing for you here, boy.
The rewards could be considerable, so are the risks.
One morning I got a phone call from my agent to say that Mammoth Screen, who co-produced with BBC, were sending me the 2 of Winston Graham's novels and 6 of the scripts. And until that point I hadn't heard of Graham at all, or Poldark, or anything. So it was complete news to me. So yeah, it was a great place to start too, not knowing anything, because you're starting from scratch, and yeah, you're not sort of you're not being pulled in different directions. I haven't seen the original Poldark. I know that's criminal to some people, but I felt like I wanted to find Ross myself. I didn't want to be sort of swayed in different directions, and sometimes as an actor I guess you can be influenced by certain things and inspired by certain things, but you know, subconsciously, yeah, I didn't want to kind of emulate or imitate Robin's amazing performance, so I steered clear of the series, but I felt like I didn't necessarily need it.
The rumour's true, do you think?
There's a damn fool if they're not.
The role of Demelza just jumped out at me. I just thought it was the most incredible role, like the Scarlett O'Hara role. They just don't come along, you know. And I auditioned for it, and then I did a chemistry read with Aidan, and yeah, eventually I got it, and it's amazing. So after getting the role, I did lots of research into it. I watched a tiny little bit of the original series because I wanted to see how Angharad Rees managed to capture the heart of the public in the way that she did. The pressure has been quite high, you know, especially with such a successful previous series, and for the actress who played it before you, Angharad Rees, you know, she just gave the most amazing performance and people loved her in it. So I think, you know, I really hope the fans like it. It's a very different series, you know, it's a different adaptation, it's closer to the books than the original was. So yeah, I think bearing in mind that it is different, it's amazingly exciting.
A great many girls be glad to acquire the name of Poldark.
Mining, 'tis in the blood, your fathers say.
If you like a wager, you'd sooner gamble on a vein of copper and the sweat of 50 men than on the turn of a card.
There's a lot in him. He's a very complex character, quite layered. You know, it's not just one thing or the other. I mean, he's a man of principle, I think, and of moral code. He's fair and he's honest, and he's got a real sense of integrity about him. But at the same time, he's not this benevolent sort of saintly character. You know, he's quite lawless, and he's a bit of a rebel, and you know, a bit of a renegade, and he doesn't like authority or being told what to do, and he's kind of moody, and there's a flip to him all the time. There's almost like a Jekyll and Hyde to him sometimes, you know, and he sort of slips kind of seamlessly from the working class, from his fellow miners and friends and that part of society, straight up to, you know, the gentrified classes and the aristocracy, and he does it with such ease, and he's quite cool that way, and people really respect him, I think, you know, and he's a hard worker, you know, and he's confused by love, and you know, he's kind of emotionally incapable of anything really in that. I think he's way more comfortable on the battlefields of Virginia, you know, with a musket in his hand than he would be telling Demelza that he loves her or anything like that. I mean, he's a real man's man in that sense. And I don't know, he's just interesting. He's the type of character that when I read from the first few scripts and the first couple of books, I thought, like, there's just a lot in him. I could keep going with this and keep finding stuff with this character.
Working with Aidan is great. He's a brilliant actor, and he brings something new to the scene each time, you know, so you're constantly on your toes, which is great. But yeah, it's very romantic. It's certainly very, very exciting in that respect.
It just sort of happened. I finished high school and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it just seemed like fun, and I did an acting class in Dublin, and it was terrifying, and I liked it. It was just exhilarating. It was just, getting up on stage in front of a bunch of people that I didn't know and making a complete fool of myself just seemed to kind of work for me for some reason.
I guess I almost fell into it, but I don't know, like, I remember going to see my mum on stage as a kid and going on set with my dad and just loving that camaraderie, you know, that chemistry, that creativity that happens around, you know, people doing their jobs. It was just, it was immediately kind of inspiring, and I just wanted to do it.
You want to live here or die here?
It was kind of cool to you know, have my first meeting knowing that there was an offer on the table. That's something I hadn't experienced before. I could get used to that. It's quite a nice feeling.